Thank you for joining us for the 2020 annual meeting of the Maryland Business Roundtable for Education. Our meeting starts now. Across the globe, we are fighting the coronavirus pandemic, and our lives have been impacted in unimaginable ways. During this difficult time, more than ever, the Maryland Business Roundtable for Education cares about the continuity, quality, and equity of your child's education. Despite schools being closed and social distancing orders in place, our 30-year commitment to improving student achievement throughout the state of Maryland has not changed. At the onset of the pandemic, we implemented virtual learning, our way of keeping our families and students engaged and connected, offering tips for success in high school and in college.
I know everyone wants to talk about the essay, and while we have some downtime, I think it's important maybe we start working on that essay. Making sure that grammar, punctuation, sentence structure is all there. But another thing too is content. You're going to be given 8 prompts on the Common App that you can sit through, and one of them is always write about anything. And so what I really encourage is, if I never get the chance, or any of my coworkers never get the chance to meet you, that essay should tell us who you are.
Discussions on careers within the STEM industry.
But tell us exactly, what is a bioinformatician?
Yeah, so a bioinformatician is basically telling a computer how to do a biology experiment for you, so that it does all the boring work and you get the exciting results at the end. In your typical biology lab, you're doing work at the bench during lab, and I learned how to write. I learned computer language. It's the same as learning Spanish or any other foreign language, except you don't have to worry about pronunciation. You just have to worry about grammar. So,
advice from coaches on being a successful student athlete.
The biggest thing that has to be understood is that students need to know that if they believe in themselves, number one, to be a college athlete, that's what it takes. At the end of the day, it's going to be their active role, the parents, guardians, and the people that love them, their coaches, obviously putting information out there about them. But really, it comes down to whether or not the student athlete has got the desire to put in the work ethic and really do the necessary steps in order to put them in a position to garner those opportunities.
Absolutely.
Casual yet informative conversations with state education leaders.
I remember as a high school senior looking to college, especially for me, I was looking out of state, so I knew that whatever I was getting was going to be more expensive. But I just remember being so overwhelmed by everything. So where do you suggest families begin that search?
I would say that families should begin by really researching the colleges and universities that the student wants to attend. And by visiting the websites of the schools, you can learn so much about the institution, especially the cost of attendance. How much does it cost to be at this school? Then I would say that students and families need to visit the Federal Student Aid website at studentaid.gov and just kind of peruse the site and learn about federal opportunities such as the Pell Grant and loans. And then visit the Maryland Higher Education Commission's website to learn about state aid and to be able to apply for state aid opportunities. And also ask questions. Meet with the high school counselor. Contact the financial aid office at the college that the student wants to attend. You can contact more than one financial aid office, but really to ask questions and do the research.
Our students are also weighing in, sharing their families' experiences and offering advice to fellow classmates on ways to cope and remain focused during this difficult time.
Relationship, like you miss your teachers, you Do you feel like you can't connect with them? Let's talk a little bit about that part of this aspect. Go ahead, Abby.
So for me, there's only really one teacher who's really done a really good job with reaching out with us, and part of that is because he has always been really good with that. Even before this started, we communicated through like the GroupMe app and stuff like that, but he's really adamant in making sure it's the only AP class that is offered to sophomores at our school, so it's the most challenging class that we can take pretty much, and he really wants to make sure that we're still prepared for the AP test because it's a modified version of it, but we're still going to be expected to take it. So as soon as all of this started, he was like, he had a game plan. He was like, I felt like this was going to happen, and he set it out. He gave us like a 2-week calendar with like live streams that we can join to talk to him about stuff. Even though the other teachers aren't giving us that opportunity to talk face to face with them through like some kind of like FaceTime or something like that, they're doing a really good job with being thorough and explaining the assignments that we have to do each week. So I don't know, I feel like maybe it would be more beneficial if the board said, look, you have to have an optional meeting with these students so that if kids have questions, they can join the call, they can ask you questions, whether it be on how to submit the work, like the technical side of it, or just how to do the work itself. That way the kids have an option that they can join and ask those questions, maybe just like once a week or something like that.
And some are lending their support to our first responders through the creation of essential personal protective equipment.
Jordan, do you have one that you can show us of what you guys have been printing?
Let me put it together. So we have these masks. They go right over your face, like this. They have little like holes to put the elastics around the back of your head. And I just sent out this week another file for 3D printing. It's an ear guard, so it goes around the back of your head, and you attach the elastics to that instead of your ears, so you don't feel that constant strain on your ears.
While COVID-19 is changing what we've known as our normal way of life, we are defining a new normal for education, not only for today, but for many days ahead. We are here for you, your child, and our communities at large. We're just connecting in a different kind of way. We are a community of connections.
Good afternoon. My name is Samara Spriggs, and I attend Cambridge South Dorchester High School in Dorchester County. Welcome to the 29th annual meeting of Maryland Business Roundtable for Education. I'm happy to be a part of this meeting with several of my fellow students from across the state of Maryland. My participation with the Next Generation Scholars Program has helped me to realize what my future may hold. I know more about the life of a college student. We visit many different places, and each place has something that stood out, from the school spirit to the organization of the school. After visiting the hospital and the Naval Academy and other places, it has helped me to go into the direction of the medical field. Speaking on the behalf of the students, I want to thank the Maryland Business Roundtable for Education and the Next Generation Scholars Coordinators for all of the work they do for the students. We are grateful for all that goes into the program to make it a success. Now I would like to welcome Mr. Alex Nunez, Chair of the MBRT Board of Directors. Good afternoon, Mr. Nunez.
Good afternoon, and welcome to today's annual meeting of the Maryland Business Roundtable for Education. My name is Alex Nunez, and I serve as Senior Vice President for Strategy and Regulatory Affairs at BGE. I am also very honored to be the chair of the MBRT Board of Directors and to be a part of this virtual meeting with each of you. Now, before I begin, I want to extend my sincere hope that each of you is well and that your families are staying and doing well. Today, I congratulate MBRT on its steadfast commitment to advocating for high scholastic achievement standards, providing expertise and resources to our teachers and schools and supporting educational excellence throughout the state of Maryland. I've been fortunate to serve on the board here at MBRT for 6 years now. In this role, I have seen the power of commitment directly. Daily commitment from our communities, from our schools and our teachers, from professional mentors and businesses and other organizations like MBRT. It is through collective, inclusive, and focused commitment that we can build our best possible future. With our resolved commitment to each of our students and to one another, we foster learning and the kind of teamwork that harnesses the very strengths of our communities for the benefit of our talented Maryland students and emerging workforce. Each day, I am humbled to be a part of BGE. BGE employs more than 3,100 individuals who work as one team to execute our mission. Each day, we ensure that the lights stay on and that the gas is flowing through our systems with a focus on reliability, safety, affordability, security, and the environment. In recent months, just like every local business and family, BGE has had to adjust to the realities of COVID-19. Our employees are not only working differently, but they are creating new solutions for our customers' homes and businesses who are operating differently, who are using energy differently, and in some cases, who are struggling economically. We are working to stay connected to our customers and to pivot as needed to make sure that their near-term and long-term needs are met. We are setting up new initiatives every day, devising new ways of helping our customers through COVID-19, with a special focus on supporting limited income households and small businesses. The adaptability and the innovation that BGE employees have brought to our customers during COVID-19 are examples of the type of dividend that comes from nurturing an inclusive and diverse workforce. Similarly, it's the inclusive and collaborative model under which MBRT works that brings us together, not only for the annual meeting today, but every day, to innovate and to solve the toughest problems with the best ideas. MBRT's mission to improve schools, support education reform, and to advance student achievement across Maryland is vital. I am so proud to be a part of this team. Thank you for being a meaningful enabler of our mission. Your commitment to the students and to our future is really valuable. I look forward to the remainder of this meeting, and I hope that you enjoy this celebration of our vibrant community and the many voices we are sharing with you today. Stay well and enjoy the meeting.
I'm Brian Dulay. I'm the director here at MBRT. I'd certainly like to start by thanking Samar and Alex for their own remarks in welcoming you, and I do the same. You'll note right away that my comments here today are not accompanied by a video, and we've done that so that I can just present a few slides to you really briefly in terms of summarizing the year that we've just had, and we'll give you a quick peek ahead at the school year to come. And I have every intention of doing this very briefly. There's lots of others on the call today, so I'd love for you to hear from them just as soon as possible. I do want you to know as we start some sense of who's on the call with us. That's unfortunately a part that we've lost from the in-person setting of the previous few summers. Many of you have joined those luncheons in the past. But it's a similar audience, I think even larger this year. know that there are leading employers from throughout the state of Maryland on this call, many from our board of directors and steering committee. We've got leading state and elected officials. A special thank you on my part to Dr. Karen Salmon, our state superintendent. She and colleagues of hers from the State Department of Ed are on, so we welcome them. And we also have students on this call, quite a number, at least 3 of whom you'll hear from. They have a panel later in the program. So we think that's exciting for logistical reasons. In earlier years, it's been hard to get many of the students to an event like this on a school day. So I take that as a silver lining. My role here, it's very brief, just have a few tasks that I want to cover for you. First, I'll show you this slide as you look at our board of directors. This is a step per our bylaws that we do each year. So we're adhering to that this year. And all I wanted to do was just note that by email approval this month, this board slate is in effect as of today. I share appreciation, I know, on behalf of many of you with those names on this slide. That board has served us so well over the 3 decades of this organization. And may I add also a note, the unselfishness and the leadership throughout our community and our state over the past few months by the names that you see here. Their organizations, these corporations, our institutes of higher ed. It's been truly remarkable. I am so honored to be a part of this organization and to work for this board, and I know I speak for our headquarters staff in sharing that. So we appreciate their leadership in what they do. And officially, I'm happy to report this board slate is now approved.
So the next slide in our presentation is designed to highlight the 3 main offerings of MBRT's resources. Maybe just a moment of context as I do that. At the very start of this calendar year, one of the CEOs of our board companies, she was describing the most important qualities of her workforce. And by extension, she was talking about what graduates of schools need today. She said that it's essential that they have adaptability and a propensity to learn. And I find this really relevant and helpful because she made those comments before the pandemic and obviously before the unrest of the last couple of weeks or even longer. This is such a trying and an unusual year, a calendar year that's really just 5 months along. But I use that as kind of a reference point to bring us back to, from an organizational standpoint, what do we do best? And how do we allow young people to be more adaptable and to figure out their pathway to learning? These are the 3 brief resources I just wanted to highlight for you. They should be familiar to those of you that know our organization well. The volunteers are first. They're always first. Many of you on this call have done this work for us. If you have visited our classrooms and you are offering your expertise or your career knowledge to our students, you're as essential as ever. I would guess as we do this virtually into the next school year and that we have you back out to classrooms as soon as we can get you there, you may face a variety of questions from young people on a variety of topics. We welcome that, and we know that you are the best positioned people in our organization to talk about how you've arrived at your point in your life and what your perspectives might be, obviously about careers in the workforce. But in today's world, you're likely to be asked about a lot of things, and we would welcome you sharing your expertise and your judgment with young people. The second visual here is just to call attention to our success with college tours. You heard those mentioned with the Naval Academy as an example. I had the great fortune to be down there at that day in early March, and I recall, as an example, a booth or sort of a display from Lockheed Martin, one of our corporate companies, was offering a pilot's version of a flight simulator. And so at the same time that a student was able to sit in that while on the Naval Academy that day, a third-year naval student was speaking to her experiences in engineering and her interest in going to flight school this fall, for example. It's hard to imagine being able to offer that kind of real-world experience to our students, and I thought that was a perfect example. And then this last visual on this slide is the workforce settings. Time and year after year, the companies tell us and the universities tell us that when we can get the students out of the classrooms and into the workplace or into the distribution center or maybe on a manufacturing floor, they really understand better what these careers look like, and they often go back to school. The guidance counselors or principals or superintendents report to us that they really have a sense of what their learning might look like. So in all 3 of these cases, we find this valuable work, and we do think it speaks to a propensity to learn in our community of connections.
As a next slide, I just wanted to give you one other takeaway from the year that we've concluded that I think is really our shining moment from the year. You'll see here our Youth Congress Day. This took place earlier in the winter, back in January. It was, as the name would suggest, it was this opportunity. We had 100+ students that day. We were able to remotely bring students in to visit in person, to visit Annapolis and see the State House. Many of them had never been to Annapolis or the State House. They interacted with delegates and state senators, many of whom took time out of their day to mingle with them. Those were the most engaging moments for me. They asked them what they're doing in school, what their dreams are, what their career aspirations might be, and they shared anecdotes of their own lives. So you can imagine that that was a really unusual opportunity for our students. Great media coverage, and all of this is summarized on our website, so I would encourage you to take a look at that. The portion of that day that also wrapped it up was we shared a key report this year having to do with the Next Generation Scholars Grant. You'll hear plenty of that about that on the program today, so I'll leave it at that. But a credit to my colleagues, Natalie Williams and Nona Carroll in particular, with a lot of staff support, pulled together a really great day with our 5 local coordinators bringing these students into place. If I may then, just as another example here of what to look ahead, I'm just thinking of the 2021 school year, and I'll wrap up with this. You know, we've got a very different year ahead, to say the least. The school officials on the call could best speak to the challenges of the year that's now behind us, with the school year just concluding. But I feel like we're going to touch on a couple of really important points that I'd want you to know about. Geographically, as a reminder here, we are centrally based in terms of our office in Maryland. So we have lots of corporate support and lots of active program outreach occurring in Baltimore City, Baltimore County, Prince George's County. But if you note in the call today a focus on the Eastern Shore and in Western Maryland, that's intentional. We wanted to give you a variety of those perspectives, and so we are truly a statewide organization, and I think that will be evident throughout the call. I just pulled visuals here to leave you with these thoughts. There'll be a CTE focus in the year ahead, having to do with career and technical education. We've always done some of that, but there's a real federal and state push on this right now for good reasons, great relevance to the workforce. We're in alignment with the State Department of Ed on that, so you'll hear a lot more about it. Our app is as invaluable as ever. We've put a couple of years into development of that for a relatively small nonprofit. I think we've really played above our weight with that resource. Credit to Chris Thorne on our team and many others who have built this out. It is a touch point in the students' hands on their phones. And back to my earlier point that I shared of that author's perspective, this is essential information that we want students focused on and really gives them a sense of their career pathway. And then I intentionally close with a question mark. So I leave you with one other thought as you reflect on the program today. You know, the best leadership that I've observed over the past few months, so this would be specific to these unusual and trying times, at the local, the state, the national, this is a global issue, so I've been impressed by so many people in other countries. The leadership that has left me with the best sense that we're in good hands is those who have acknowledged that we don't know what's next and that this is uncharted territory. And I think I've seen so much of this in our state of saying, we don't know the timeline yet. We don't know the health conditions of the schools as we reopen. All of our companies are affected. We're getting there. We're further along than we were, most would agree, than a few months ago. But I just wanted to reassure you at the same time that MBRT as a nonprofit organization, in my view, is really well positioned. We are flexible, we're adaptable. We've had a 30-year history, as I mentioned, of this nimble ability to align what we can produce for the schools. That will not change. That's what you can expect from us in the year ahead. But we go into it with a very humble acknowledgement of the 2021 school year being most likely like no other. So how do we fit those needs? Where do we provide the most essential community of connections? Those are questions we look forward to your insights on. We'll be gathering your feedback into the summer and fall, and I think it makes for a great opportunity for us in the year ahead. I look forward to the rest of the program. I thank you for your time on the call, and we appreciate everything you do for our roundtable. Please stay in touch with ideas, and we will continue to utilize your expertise throughout the year. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Ricky Venters, and I'm with Johns Hopkins University Technology Ventures. I've had the awesome opportunity to work with MBRT for the last few years, working as a volunteer, going into classrooms and inspiring and motivating students, to working with the strategic committee, and also being a resource and a trainer for new volunteers that are interested to go into the classrooms as well. Man, what I really love about MBRT and the opportunity to go into the classrooms as a volunteer is the opportunity and the chance to really touch every student in there with inspiration and motivation and inspiring them to exceed to great things in life. Every single classroom I go into, I try to leave them with just the idea that opportunities have an expiration. And if you don't take advantage of the opportunity in the lifetime of the opportunity, you may never, ever have that chance again. And how does that relate to them? They always ask. It's because in their middle school years and their high school years, a lot of times, you don't really realize what you do every single day, how it impacts your future. So being able to show them and share with them that, hey, you are in an opportunity, and this opportunity won't last forever. But if you take this opportunity and give it everything that you have, then another opportunity and greater opportunity will be waiting for you on the other side. It's amazing so many times when I've gone to different classrooms, and from classroom to classroom, just seeing the light bulbs go off in their eyes to the new possibilities that life has to offer them, the new career paths that they never knew about, the affirmation of their dreams and their goals that they have, and just being a friend and just someone that can listen to their concerns. Working at a large organization such as Johns Hopkins, there are an abundance of career paths. And it's great for us to be able to go into these classrooms and just expose these students to all the different possibilities that are out there for them. We all been there before, in high school, in middle school, having an idea of what a doctor is, having an idea what a lawyer does, or what an engineer is, or all those different things that we hear on a daily basis as career opportunities. But it means so much more for them to have someone to come into their classroom and actually show how what they're learning applies to saving lives, applies to changing the trajectory of the lives that are around them, how it applies to enhancing their community, their families, and their friends' lives. So we as Johns Hopkins University take pride in going back into these classrooms and just sharing them with them all the different ways that they can contribute to the world at large. I truly believe that it's one of my responsibilities to go back into the classrooms and share with the next generation my journey, my successes, my failures. And in doing that, encouraging them and inspiring them to dream. And not only dream, but chase their dreams with their whole heart. I remember when I was their age and having someone come in and do that for me to affirm who I was, to share with me all the different pathways that I can explore, all the options that I can pursue. And I believe by us and by me going back into the classroom and having an opportunity to share that with these students, we're setting them up for true success. So Greg, why don't you share with us how your experience has been with MBRT from the board perspective?
Thanks, Ricky, and thank you for your commitment to MBRT as a volunteer. UMBC has been a proud partner of MBRT for many, many years. For us, it gives us an important opportunity to work with corporate and government and education leaders to really understand how to help make sure we put our students in the best position to be successful. High expectations in the classroom, a lot of resources available for them to prepare for the world of work, and then access and understanding of the jobs of the future, the jobs that we're going to need them to be prepared for to help our economy continue to grow and be successful. Those questions are more important now than ever before, particularly in the current environment that we're living in. For us, it's given our students an opportunity to work alongside corporate leaders, to get in classrooms with teachers and get to understand the current needs of students and see careers in whole new ways. And it's also, quite frankly, given us an opportunity to help K-12 students and their families understand the unique value that both higher education offers and their trajectories for success, but also what's unique about UMBC, our different programs and services, so they can make the best decisions that they can as they think about college and careers. MBRT plays a critical role in our state, and we're proud to be a part of that and work towards a stronger Maryland. And now we'd like to recognize the teachers who do so much to help our students in their unwavering pursuit of success and excellence.
Thank you, Greg. It's a pleasure for me to be here with all of you, and it's a double pleasure for me to be able to introduce a wonderful teacher in our state. That is Sean Parks, who's our 2020 Caroline County Teacher of the Year. Sean is an English language arts teacher at Lockerman Middle School, and she is so respected and beloved, not only at her school and by her students, but by the school district and now all over the state of Maryland. Sean is not only expert at her subject matter, but she also spends time working with her students in the areas of team building, teamwork, collaboration, and communication, which she believes are so very important in life, and especially important for our middle school students to understand and exemplify. She is one of our 24 Teachers of the Year from all the districts, and she is very, very beloved by her colleagues as well. They all work together on various projects. One that they're working very diligently at is a mental health program, and I think that people are going to be very, very excited by the results of this program. So, without further ado, an awesome teacher, someone I've really enjoyed getting to know this year. So please warmly welcome Sean Parks.
Thank you, Darla, and thank you, MBRT, for this opportunity. It is a privilege to be able to speak with you today. I am fortunate to be able to support MBRT's Next Generation Scholars Program in my classroom and by attending trips that MBRT has sponsored for these Maryland students who likely would not have these opportunities on their own. To see their eyes light up as they suddenly glimpse who they can become is a gift that I never take for granted, and it is the best part of being a teacher. So I thank you for the important work that you do that changes the lives of the students in my classroom. For 29 years, I have taught English language arts to 7th and 8th graders at Lockerman Middle School in Caroline County. I am so grateful for the opportunities that I have had over these last 9 months as the 2019-2020 Caroline County Teacher of the Year. The Maryland State Department of Education provides a rewarding, enriching, and inspiring experience for the Teachers of the Year from around the counties in Maryland. I consider myself a learner first and a teacher second, and I have learned so much from this amazing experience, as well as from my cohort of passionate educators from around the state. All of this learning is channeled back into my classroom so that I can prepare my students for their own journeys of lifelong learning. I'd like to take a few minutes today to reflect on how the idea of community of connection has impacted my work as a teacher. If you were students in my classroom, before we analyze the impact of community of connection, we would begin by breaking the phrase down word by word to be sure that our definition is sound. And then we would build our ideas upon those definitions. Let's start with community. A community is a group of people who all share common circumstances, a common thread, or a common goal. This organization is a community. Maryland is a community. My classroom is a community. Agreeing on our understanding of community, we would move on to the next key word, which is connection. What is a connection? It is a noun, a thing, an idea. A connection is a link or a bond that joins two separate things together. But it's a bit more than that. A connection infers that through the connecting of two separate things, a new, improved, better, stronger thing is created. Think about it. Two separate wires that connect transfer power from one to another and a light bulb lights up. When two links of a chain are connected, a greater weight can be supported. When a hand grasps another in a handshake, you remember those? This physical connection creates a bond of respect, mutual understanding, or agreement. A simple definition of connection is the now familiar #BetterTogether. Though my students might at first skip the preposition, it's important to inspect that tiny word. Of indicates that one thing comes out of the other. Here, community comes out of the connection, and that relationship makes the community better than it was before. With a clear definition of community of connection, I can now explore its impact on my world. Teaching is 100% about connection and creating that community. In my classroom community, we are individual learners with a common goal of making progress in our understanding of ourselves, each other, and our world. We connect through discussion, writing, and reflecting, confirming, challenging, and changing our ideas and the ideas of others along the way. We connect socially and emotionally and physically with high fives and handshakes. But in order for my students to be fully connected takes the work of our school community as well. The principals, guidance counselors, nurses, bus drivers, lunch staff, and instructional aides are part of our community. And my students and I need those connections to thrive. I connect with the families of my students so that we can all be on the same page to support the student. I link the students to my connections outside of the classroom and from my own experiences so that my students can benefit from those connections as well. My goal is to connect my students to as many links in their chains as I can to make them stronger and able to carry a heavier load as they progress through middle school, high school, and then college or career beyond that. On March 13th, however, I said goodbye to my students and told each one to stay safe, expecting to see them again in 2 weeks. I was confident in the community of connection that we built together, and I fully, maybe naively, expected that chain to keep them anchored until we rejoined each other in our work. But we did not rejoin each other, at least not in person. It's what happened in these past 3 months that truly showed me what a community of connection is all about. Shifting to a new normal, I provided online assignments for my students to practice skills we'd learned in the classroom. I was keenly aware of a connection that was lacking, so I decided to add a daily class connection for the students to respond to me and to each other on our classroom stream. And I assigned each day of the week a different opportunity to connect. Make a Wish Monday, Tell Us To Tuesday, Would You Rather Wednesday, Thought Bubble Thursday, and Favorite Friday. I provide the context and the topic and have the students respond on our classroom thread. I've talked with several parents who tell me that the class connection is the first work that their child completes each day. Each of these silly daily think-abouts are opportunities for my students to add links to their chains, making them stronger, more empathetic, and more resilient. Through emails and phone calls, I have been able to connect with my students and their families. Students are reaching out to get advice on their work and asking for permission to adjust their assignment schedules to suit their needs at home. They are using these connections we built to advocate for themselves. I've spoken with moms, dads, aunts, and moms about their concerns, their stresses, and their fears, and through that connection, offered them a listening ear and an understanding heart. Many have shared their relief and their gratitude for knowing that someone cares. These connections make our community stronger. In our county, we use Zoom as a platform to connect with students face-to-face. And it was on a Zoom meeting with one of my 14-year-old students that I witnessed the true power of community of connection. A boy who in class challenged me daily as his difficulty in learning presented itself in an oppositional frame. My daily, "How are you today, Ricky?" would be answered immediately with, "Terrible." "What questions do you have that I can answer for you?" would result in, "Why do we have to learn this? This is stupid." And "Why don't you come on into class so we can get started?" led to Ricky standing defiantly in the doorway, daring me to tell him to take his seat. Yet it was this student who hopped onto Zoom during my daily office hours a couple weeks ago. We chatted for a few minutes about how he was doing and what he'd been up to since the closing of school. After some small talk, he admitted that he didn't really have any questions for me about his work. He just wanted to see how I was doing. He talked to me about tigers and showed me a video on his phone of a man getting a hug from his lion. After about 20 minutes, he was ready to hop off, but he stopped and said, "Mrs. Parks, it's not fair if the 8th graders don't get to go back to Lockerman." "Why's that, Ricky?" "We students need a chance to say goodbye to our teachers." Well, there it was. There it is. The power of a community of connection. Together we are better, stronger, more compassionate, more inspired, and more loved. Education is moving from the me to the we. Not how I am doing, but how are we doing together? And the answer is that our community is better when we are connected to one another. Again, thank you so much, MBRT, for having me join you today. I am proud of the work that you do, the connections that you make, and the strong link that you add to the chain of every student in Maryland. Thank you.
Thank you to Mrs. Parks and all of the Maryland teachers who pour themselves into this work. We value you as education partners. And as a parent myself, I'm sure I speak for thousands of parents when I say we know 100% that your job is not an easy one. And we thank you tremendously for all that you do for our children. And to our Next Generation Scholars coordinators, Carrie, Andra, Morgan, Tashi, and Lori, as well as State Program Manager Annalisa, thank you. Despite school closings for the remainder of the year, you have stayed committed to reaching all students across the state of Maryland. Through our Way to Be at Home Facebook Live series, we're continuing to provide online assistance to help students stay focused on their college and career goals. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for the MBRT meeting. We're so excited about this portion of our meeting agenda, where we talk with students who are direct participants and recipients of the work that we do. So joining us, we have Ashton Shiles from Wycomico High, Malachi Webb from Fort Hill High, and Jordan Cox Pemberton from Kent County High School. So thank you guys for joining us. Hello. Hi. So this year has been a big one. Very unexpected from what we would see from a typical school year. First half of the year was kind of just trekking along as we would hope one would do. And then the second half of the year, we got kind of a curveball. COVID-19 really changed the way that we are working and interacting, as this panel is showing. So Malachi, how are things going in the Webb household?
Things are going pretty well. We've had our struggles during this whole situation, but I've been able to keep up with my schoolwork. I've been able to still work out at times.
It's been different because it's like we're at home. Everybody's at home, so it's like summer vacation without the vacation. We're still in school. It's hard getting all my workouts done for football and all the sports I participate in. But we're trying to stay ourselves happy, healthy, and isolated.
I feel like it's been tough to keep myself focused, but I'm able to motivate myself every day, and I've been able to go to work still and be home with my family and isolate ourselves.
Yes, I think we're all trying to do the best with what the circumstances that we're in. Has anything changed for your families?
My mother, she works for the hospital, so at first I couldn't see her as often or go visit her or anything because of her possibly being around the virus.
Well, I can tell you, my mom is tired of seeing me every day. I'm starting to get on. I can tell I'm starting to get on the nerves, bugging her about schoolwork and stuff. But my aunt actually got the coronavirus earlier this month, and we're trying to keep her healthy, make sure she takes all the necessary precautions and she stays in her house.
So I used to work in a daycare center, so every day I'd go and, things like that. But ever since we found out, all the schools were closing down, daycare was closed with it. So I wasn't able to go into work and see all the kids all the time. So it was kind of nice that I have another job right now. It's with kids again, but I do miss going to daycares every day and, doing carnivals and magic shows for the kids.
Yeah, what great work that was. But yeah, I can imagine that those carnivals are not happening, or when they do start happening again, they'll look very different.
Yeah.
So, Ashton mentioned about schoolwork. So let's transition a little bit about that. How is online learning going?
Well, it's been hard to teach yourself because we're trying to learn a new subject and it's hard to comprehend it by yourself without a teacher teaching it to you. Other than that, my teachers have been reliable. There's been times I texted my teacher at 11:59 and she responded with all the help I needed. But other than the fact that she's not there physically to help me, it's going pretty well.
Well, that's good. So what about outside of schoolwork? What have you guys been up to?
I've been able to go work out outside with my father or be able to travel up to Frostburg State with him and work out on their field. It's gone really well. It's been able to keep me to do something and not just stay inside and worry about all this going on. I've been able to keep my mind to something and stay positive.
I've been able to keep myself busy with work. I work like 9 hours a day, and then after that, I usually come home and spend some time with my family.
So, do you think that this 2-month period has impacted your education or even your future plans in all that you're experiencing right now?
For next year, I feel like it's going to impact next year's classes because this year we're not going to get the whole lesson that we would get if we were in school. So I might have trouble understanding next year the courses that lead up to it. But other than that, it's basically the same with just the schoolwork that's needed to finish and not graduate.
I feel like this COVID-19 has kind of prepared me for the world because, now I know life isn't predictable. I thought I was going to get through the end of the year and, get to see all my friends, get to see the seniors graduate and things like that. And unfortunately I can't. So it kind of prepared me, now I know what needs to be done so I can keep myself motivated every day and things like that. I think it's prepared me.
And I know, Ashton, a lot of the schools and nonprofit organizations, even our own, we're looking at how can we help, during the summer months? Because I think that that concern that you have about the next school year is really a real thing. And I know that state officials as well as the school officials have been really thinking through that. And so, I encourage you guys all to reach out to your coordinators because we're also gathering those different resources available to you. So a little bit of a shift here, but I know, as Jordan said, things are not as predictable as we thought. But what are your plans after high school? Let's start with Malachi.
I plan on entering into a biomedical science program and also trying to become a physical therapist or an orthopedic surgeon.
For me, I would like to go to school through sports because my family, we can't really pay for college, so sports is kind of my main focus right now. But I want to get my degree in technology and engineering with a minor in sportscasting.
I'd like to get into college and get a major in some type of health. I haven't decided which one yet. And then from there, we'll see.
So over the past 3 years, you've had a chance to build some great relationships with your Next Generation Scholars coordinator. You've met some of our volunteers. You've toured businesses, gone on college visits, and you've experienced a lot. So how have these activities changed or impacted you? And if you wouldn't mind just sharing like what your favorite activity has been as part of the program.
It's honestly helps me become a better leader for my teammates, for my friends, some of my other underclassmen that have joined the program. It's helped them out a lot. It's gone really well to help teach me to become a better leader, not just for myself, but for other people around me. And my favorite activity with the program was the college fair in Baltimore. Gave me a chance to meet with a lot of different colleges and be able to talk with a lot of different places about my GPA, my SAT score, my ACT score, and it's just opened my eyes to places I never thought I could go or never even seen myself going, but now I realize I have the opportunity.
Well, the thing about the Next Gen program, my counselor, like me and Coach Tosh created a bond that like I've never had before. Like I go to his office every morning to talk to him. He's giving me advice on not just schoolwork but life, and with that advice, I can be a role model student, a role model brother and son, to the point where I can impact other people. But my favorite field trip was a Naval Academy field trip because it opened my eyes to something I've never experienced before. Like I never thought that I would want to go and do in the military or anything like that, but it opened my mind to some opportunities I might take for in the future.
My favorite event was the mock interview with Miss Kirsten. She's from Dixon, and it really prepared me for my next interview with them to get an internship for 3D printing and CNC at their warehouse. So that was pretty neat. I definitely feel that the relationship that Miss Anderson has with all of her students it's just so strong. She's motivated us all to become better people, to become better leaders. She's great with everybody.
That's awesome. So I'm glad to hear that that you're taking something away from this last 3 years, and we're excited because we still have another full year with you guys going into, all of you are juniors, so going into your senior year. So the last question I have for you, how has the Next Generation Scholars Program made you a better student?
The program made me a better student because it gave me so much knowledge and advice to help with college and the rest of high school. Because my counselor, Coach Tosh, she's been giving me advice that I can spread to my brothers, to my students, my fellow students, and sometimes my teachers. And it's like really shaped me to be a better person. And that's what the whole program is about.
This program has helped me realize that I can become a better student to get to a better college, and that the more I can be more productive with myself to help not just myself but the people around me.
I feel like this program has prepared me for college and going into the workforce and everything like that. I know, I think it's like once a month or something like that, Miss Anderson has me come into her office and she's always asking me, do you know what you're going to do when you get out of high school? What kind of college do you want to go to? Do you know what sports you want to play in college? Things like that. It kind of helps me, think about what my future is going to be, because without this program, I wouldn't know where I'm going.
That's awesome. I love to hear how this is really personally impacting each of you. And the neat thing is that while you guys are 3 of the students that we work with, we have about 2,000 students between the 5 counties that we're working with. And so, there are Ashtons, Malachis, and Jordans in each of them. And so I definitely appreciate you guys for being with us. You're the reason why we do this work, and our partners are committed to creating connections that will continue to support each of you through your academic careers. So again, thank you. And just if you guys wouldn't mind just saying bye to the audience.
Bye.
Thank you, Nona. My name is Regina Schofield. I'm the vice chair of the MBRT, and I've been on the board for 9 years. I work for Battelle. It's a research and development company headquartered in Columbus, Ohio. However, we have many offices in the DMV. In Maryland, we have offices in Baltimore, Aberdeen, and we manage a piece of the National Biological Analysis and Countermeasures Center in Frederick, Maryland. I'm on the board. I enjoy being on the board because its focus is on our greatest asset, educated students. Again, thank you to the staff, the coordinators, our students, our teachers, our businesses, volunteers, and the entire community. Despite this being different from previous years, we hope you've enjoyed this year's annual meeting and leave us today better informed about the work of the MBRT. Before we go, on behalf of the Board of Directors, we'd like to extend an invitation for you to join us. If you're an organization, please reach out to learn how to become a member of our organization. We invite volunteers to join us and be part of our virtual online learning series. Talk to your businesses about being a partner. Students, send us your ideas on where you need our guidance as you navigate virtual learning and social distancing. This is a really difficult time for all of us, but we also want to make sure that we're there to support, again, our most valuable asset, you. And for our current partners, we challenge each of you to identify one business to become part of this life-changing experience. We simply cannot do this work without you and businesses like you. Next year, MBRT will celebrate 30 years of service, and our team is working on the plans for that, and we'll share details in the upcoming months. On behalf of all of us, thank you so much for your participation.